Ladies and gentlemen, in my last video, also on Bastion, I said this. If we get, I don't know, 25 likes, let's say 25 likes, then I'll dive into Arena again, I'll pick up the 4-star version. So I think it'll be a good idea if I follow through on that and made another video on Bastion. So here we are. I grabbed the 4-star version of the latest tech character to enter MCOC. 7.5 million points for a 4-star is a crime. Such a scam. This will be an awful lot easier if I were in the CCP. Hashtag get Matty into the Chinese Communist Party. I mean, content creator program. I refuse to believe that nobody's pointed that out yet. I cannot be the first. It doesn't matter. Anyway, if you've been living under a rock or you haven't seen my first video on Bastion, then here's a refresher on how he works. So, your rotation. You punch the opponent to apply techno-organic virus charges, probably the single most overused mechanic in the tech class. Once you reach 30 of those charges, you apply the virus, then you chuck off an SP2, and if the virus is active, you gain 2 Fury passives instead of 1. They are going to contribute to super boost your disintegration burst on your SP1. Not only do the Furies super boost that, you can also chain the SP1 from the second hit of your heavy attack, which will apply a disintegration passive, and you can chuck off the Sentinel relic that I'm again running in this video. So you can see, we chuck it off, we chain the second hit of the heavy attack into the SP1, and that burst absolutely rips. Venom Pool isn't going to die here, but we're going to nail the stand-up intercept. We're going to go for another combo, yep, into another SP1, and you can get a couple of those SP1s off in a single rotation. And Venom Pool goes down. I will say, actually, just as a quick note, before we move on to the next fight, it is a bit of a shame, just in the current state of the game, about how little people care about 1 stars through 4 stars. I'd say you can move on to 5 stars and beyond very, very quickly and perfectly happily never look back. Right? I actually got a comment about this on my last video about Bastion, that Kabam have not released a single piece of content where 5 stars below are useful or relevant, and I think MSD is currently doing a new account challenge, and he's already in Act 8. He's currently, I think, at this moment, as I speak, doing the Epoch of Pain with a 6-star rank 1 version of Sentry. Like, okay, it's ridiculous how fast you can progress through this game, and I actually think, on a rather serious note, it would be quite nice if we got another back issues or just another bit of content somewhere where we can bring in our 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars. It would stretch people's accounts, allow them to appreciate more of the game. Anyway, that's my rant. Let's get back to the actual video. So Bastion cooked that Venom Pool. We're on the Bleeding Poison Biohazard node here in 5.4.6. I'm going to try and showcase a little more of his utility in this video. I'm going to showcase his Bleeding Poison resistance and the self-repair he gains when he's inflicted with one of those effects. It's going to keep me topped up throughout the path. And against the boss fight, I'm going to showcase a little bit more his Pursuit passive from his heavy attack. So, a bit more of an in-depth utility showcase than I got out of 5.1.6. I didn't really need to use either of those in the Act 5 content, the early Act 5 content anyway. And just a quick note, I did say, actually, the other thing I said after that clip that I showed earlier of my last Bastion video, that I'd hop into Act 6. The Act 6 health pools to an unascended 4-star, they're not impossible. I can make content out of it, but it would take like half an hour. Like, nobody would watch that video because it would just take an age and a half, right? I think my perspective has been slightly warped by the fact that Arnim Zola absolutely cooked 6.1.1, but I forget that that was an ascended Zola, and I no longer have any tier 1 ascension dust lying around. So, hey, no biggie, but Ultron goes down in exactly the same way there. You can see I was topped up, even though I was taking hits on the block. The self-repair kept me at a full yellow bar. This Deadpool, even though we're 100% resistant to Bleeding Poison, I believe he has some sort of node that increases the potency of bleeds by some given effect, because my health bar is going to take an absolute beating here. You can see the bleed gets applied to me, and I'm healing. I have my self-repair buff, but I'm still taking the bleed damage, and at some point in this fight, my health bar, I'm not going to die, but I'm going to get melted a little bit. We're going to do the same rotation. You're going to see just how much of a damage boost Bastion gets against mutant characters. We've just thrown off the SP2, and Deadpool is already well below 50% health. We're going to chain in the Sentinel Relic here. He isn't going to survive the entirety of this SP1 animation. 1, 2 bursts, the third takes him down, and, I mean, that's just incredible. Bastion reigns supreme as a mutant hunter, but I am a little bit concerned that that is all he's going to be remembered for. I think, I said this in the last video, but I think that's something the tech class falls victim to quite easily, as being remembered solely as mutant hunter instead of branching out into more challenging fights. We've had a lot of very class tech characters that are remembered as great, but fall off pretty easily because they don't branch out very well, like Nimrod or Omega Sentinel, great against mutants, but kind of mid elsewhere. And Bastion may have a bit of an advantage in that his pursuit and his self-repair and bleed resistance allows him to take probably quite easily a bullseye in Battlegrounds, but I am a little bit concerned that that damage boost against mutants is so pronounced, he's not going to be remembered for anything else. You can see, chaining the heavy attack against this Groot here, the damage is great. The damage is great, and he goes down to 15% health, but it's not anywhere close to the same level as it was against the last fight against a mutant. But something I like about Bastion, that combat power increase from the power reroute, very easy to chain on another SP1, and Groot goes down. Another note, this is just commentary while the quest passes, something I like doing. In this quest, the boss fight is that famous Ultron fight. It's the Ultron you get for exploring Labyrinth of Legends. I don't know what it's called. The Ultron Drone or Ultron Prime. I don't know the difference. Anyway, you get that Ultron, and we're going to be getting a lot more rarities, a lot more of that boss in playable form from increasing your summoner rating from level 60 to 70. You're going to get him as a 2-star. I've already got him as a 2-star. Going to get him as a 3-star, 4-star, all the way up to a 6-star. And many people speculate, I'm not sure if it's been confirmed, but many people speculate that there's going to be some sort of buff to his kit, so he actually becomes relevant. And actually, this might be controversial, or a niche opinion, but for whatever reason, I think my phone was lagging, so I just took it out of low power mode there. But I actually think that his kit, as it is right now, is absolutely fine. His offensive kit is a bit weedy, I'll grant you. He's nowhere near the level of Ultron that we have playable right now as a 7-star or as a 6-star. But I think defensively, if you were to just give us the 6-star version now and we put him on Battlegrounds defense, I think you could just watch people cry, right? His armor ups decrease offensive ability accuracy by so much. They're enormous. They're so tanky. When he hits you, he applies these poisons. They're so annoying. The evade, I don't even know what timer is on the evade, but the way I remember it is it's just whenever you need something to happen or you need a tempo in the fight, just assume the evade's going to pop up because it's just so inconvenient. I know he'd be screwed up the arsehole by a Deathless Thanos, but I honestly believe he's absolutely fine as he is defensively, and there's no need for a defensive buff whatsoever. Maybe offensive. Just tune up the base attack and it'll be fine. Anyway, we have reached that Ultron Classic. Ultron Classic, that's what it's called. We have reached that fight, and I did apply the White Mags pre-fight, because otherwise every single time I parry, he's going to trigger one of those buffs, and it's just, as a metal champion, I think it's a luxury that I should take advantage of to have the White Mag synergy. It's going to make this fight an awful lot easier. We already had to contend with his healing. Why make it any harder for myself? Anyway, we're going to chuck off the SP2 here, and this is a big beefy boss fight, so it may take a couple rotation from Bastion, but he's a very safe option for this fight. You can see I was 100% confident that I could get through it with a solo without needing any health potions after the beating I took against that Deadpool, and we're chucking off our first round of SP1s. You can see that's decent damage output. He's nearly a quarter dead, and chucking off a second one, and he's going to go below that 75% threshold, which should temporarily shut off that healing node. Chucking off our heavy attack, and I actually, no, not that time. There will be a time later on in the fight where I fail to gain a pursuit passive. Again, because I believe of his armor up, he's actually turned off my ability accuracy to the point. Actually, there it is, there. I didn't get a pursuit passive. I didn't need it at the time, but I think he's going to evade here, yeah, because that armor up actually shut off my pursuit, which is annoying. I hate fighting Ultron Classic, right? I would 100% ban him. But that's besides the point. Shutting off the Sentinel Relic, I do have my pursuit, Going to chuck off another heavy attack into the second round of SB1s. He is now well below 50% health. Bastion in full control of this fight. His damage output, pretty solid. With on top of all the utility, I mean, nobody's saying he's not a bad champion. Sorry, not a good champion. He is certainly very, very solid. We're going to take Ultron Classic well below 20% health here. And I think it's here, yeah. I failed the pursuit and then he evades the last hit, right? And the stuff like that will just catch me out. I hate fighting this guy. Anyway, I'm very lucky I haven't had to so far. But we're going to hammer on in here. And am I just going to chuck off an SB1? Or am I going to go for a full... Yeah, I think I'm going to go for the full new rotation. And he's going to heal. But I have an SB2 in the works. Chucking it off now. No crits, but that's okay. I'm going to hammer in with another combo. Into another Sentinel Relic. Into another heavy attack, I assume. Nope, we're just going to go straight for it. And Ultron Classic is going to go down. So yeah. 4-star Bastion in 5.4.6. He solos the entire of that quest itemless on his own. With the White Mag synergy to pave the way in the final fight. Although... I'd say certainly possible to get that solo. You would just have to contend with no parries, unless it's like an armor up or a fury, I suppose, and a bit more evade. But yeah, Bastion, very solid as a 4-star. I said I'd make this video, and here I am. So that is just about all I have for you today. If you have made it this far and you've enjoyed the video, then thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.